The following is a conversation with Ilan Stephani, best-selling author and somatic researcher in the fields of sexuality, embodiment, trauma, health, and mysticism. In this conversation, we explore life's breakdowns, not as something to fix, but as initiations, a force that can contract us, but also awaken us. We speak about fear, surrender, and the body as a portal for deeper healing and truth, and what becomes possible when we stop avoiding our wounds and we allow them to transform us. Ilan Stephani, how are you?
I'm very warm and moved and grateful for this invitation. I always, how are you? Who are you? I managed to live amongst humans with so many years of thinking I'm an alien. I prefer to be alone, but that's not true. I love spending time with humans and not bypassing the essential stuff. And that's why I'm happy and grateful in this very moment, because I feel like you offer me an invitation to sharing space and time with you and not bypassing essential stuff. And then I love humans. I love being with people. I love contact and intimacy in all those frequencies. But it has to be something essential. It has to be something where we stop avoiding. So thank you, Yoni, for inviting me to
Yeah,
this
yeah,
experiment. And I'm so curious and
yeah,
so,
amazing.
um, yeah, simply
Yeah,
curious about
so
what's unfolding.
nice, nice. Yeah, I'm super excited to have this conversation with you because I know you already for 6 years, I think, through Lucia, my wife, at the beginning, but then I also encountered you in person, and I was, yeah, fascinating from the way you work. And a few years after, I also had the privilege to that you um, escort me in a way in my deepest initiation, which was facing cancer and going through all this process of initiation. And it's amazing, I went through all our conversation on Telegram, all our voice messages, and in a 3 minutes voice message, you managed to give me the full lesson I received from the cancer, and I could not grab it then, but when I hear it now, it was like, wow, she just summarized everything I learned about cancer. It took me like a few months, even a year after I got healed, to really embody and understand this lesson. And you, with three casual as you are, a 3 minute voice message could lend it. So that's why I'm super excited to talk to you now and see. Um, yeah, how did you got this insight? You remember what? You probably don't remember exactly what you told me.
It's true, I do not remember the exact content. So
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
not remember the exact
definitely.
voice message.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So I can summarize it in a few words. Basically, you said I was just to give some context. I was trying to heal myself in a natural way for about 6 months, and nothing was helping the tumor. It was only growing. And after 6 months, I kind of broke from my identity of trying to heal myself naturally and decided to do the chemo. And as I decided, I was feeling broken because I was in an identity crisis. Because in your word, you said, I understand that you cannot walk your talk now anymore because you were teaching people how to use their mind to achieve things, and now you kind of didn't manage to do it. But you said that that's life and spirituality is much bigger than this narrow definition of how I think they should look like and how I think spirituality or spiritual man should heal himself. And that is the biggest lesson, to really open up to the full spectrum of what life has to offer to us, and to see the options, and to see spirituality all over. So you cannot say there is one thing that is more spiritual than the other thing, because, and if you think about it really, then of course that makes completely sense. So this landed amazingly for me, and that's my biggest, if you can say, takeaway from all this process. It's exactly this, that I found God also in the hospital room with a needle to my skin. So yeah, so I got this understanding after going through cancer. I would really like to know, how did you get this understanding about life, that spirituality is everywhere?
You see, we can talk about you got this insight or learning or initiation through cancer. And that's true and not true at the same time, because you got it by being pinned to the wall by life. Life is like, your job, babe, is to surrender. Your position is on your knees. You are not asked what you want to post on Instagram. This is not another ladder in your career. This is you listening, not to what you want to learn. It's listening to what I want to teach you. This is you in front of life. It's surrender or break.
Yeah.
And that is where cancer navigates people into. The surrendering to life in an unconditional way. Surrendering to the way bigger, I could say, universal mind, instead of my mind creates reality, and that's what I'm coaching to people.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, both of us got initiated in the same way. I didn't have cancer so far.
Yeah.
We will see what comes in the future.
Yeah.
But I got pinned to the wall in the same way by life.
Okay.
And I think everybody got pinned to the wall. The question is, where after this trauma, where after this initial rupture, this initial brokenness, where after that do people manage to put armors and walls around their heart, around their energy, in a way that life never recovers, life never fully breaks through again? And where do people not manage to do that, and they stay somehow receptive? In other words, we, for example, in this culture, tend to relate to symptoms, to disease, also to cancer, in terms of, oh, you have done something wrong. Honestly, life breaking you open is a compliment. I consider you being way more healthy, showing symptoms of sickness and disease in a sick culture and era, than you managing your life, being happy-go-lucky all over the place, and the rest of the world is throwing bombs in this very moment. That's sick. Yeah. Getting along with this system is sick. You having symptoms, you breaking down, praying to God unconditionally, that's the beginning of health. That's the threshold where a human life can find back into balance. And I, for some reason, was always bad in putting so much armor around my heart and my energy that I don't feel the lie anymore, that I don't suffer from the misunderstanding, the collective confusion anymore. I was bad in that. I could say I was too weak for getting along. Yeah. And so I broke down. So I feel our initiation into spirituality is everywhere. And if it isn't everywhere, it's nowhere. If the goddess isn't present in everything, she's not existent at all.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
We are not talking about a color. We are talking about all permeating, ever permeating, immortal consciousness in everything.
Yeah.
This is true or it isn't.
Yeah.
It's a very simple decision.
Yeah.
And then, and we shared some of your consciousness opening experiences in this Odyssey, which are
Mm-hmm.
part of this initiatory journey, right?
Yeah.
This moment of, that's life.
Yeah.
That's so
Exactly.
much more than this body.
Yeah.
That's me. That's so much more than this body,
Yeah.
than this story. This
Yeah.
is not about cancer, and it has never been.
Yeah.
I'm not even in danger, and I have never been. Even after everything that I went through, there is so much potential for us being broken open to becoming aware of reality as it is.
Mm.
And it needs those brutal forces. People don't open up to this vastness in their heart voluntarily. They want to be there, but they don't want to go there. And
Yeah.
so I think
To
both
pay
of
the
us are
price.
blessed because we are cursed.
Mm-hmm.
We are blessed because
We are cursed.
we
Yes.
are life got us,
Yeah.
and we didn't run away fast enough,
Mm.
and we suffered,
Mm.
and then we broke, and then life started shimmering again. I think our story is very similar. I think everybody's story is very similar. Being broken open by life
Mm.
in an overwhelming setting,
Wow.
in an even traumatic setting, and
Yeah.
still, after everything, it's like we wouldn't choose another route.
Yeah. Amazing. And this is something that I think about it so much. Because you said in a traumatic settings, um, to get further to develop yourself, is trauma is like a must in this development? Is it like a feature built into human development?
From my own spiritual orientation, I would say yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, no, in terms of if there is a child being born in happy circumstances, perfect parents, perfect school, everything perfect, and
Yeah.
they meditate and they love God and they awaken to consciousness. Hey, go there. I'm the last one saying, didn't you have a trauma? You're not like, of course, like I'm
Yeah.
sometimes coming from my own perspective. I would
Yeah.
say, yes, everybody needs a trauma, but of course not. And at the same time, let's say I am 13 years old and I have a trauma. Let's say I'm running in front of a car and a car hits me, and that's a trauma. And
Yeah.
I'm 13 years old.
Yeah.
And maybe this was because my childhood was perfect so far, the first trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It still wasn't the first trauma,
Mm-hmm.
because me being contracted as consciousness into this body,
Is a trauma
into
in
this
some sense.
identity, this in itself is the movement of trauma.
Yeah.
So no trauma, as we understand it in this culture, happens to like a blank person or a blank background, and that's
Yeah.
the first sign of contraction.
Yeah.
Being incarnated in itself is a contraction.
Yeah.
This in itself is a confusion of consciousness.
Yeah.
This in itself is sacrificing clarity,
Yeah.
sacrificing bliss,
Mm-hmm.
being designed or being set up in a way that creates the possibility for suffering. So this in itself is already consciousness having kind of forgotten itself.
Yeah.
And every trauma then happens on top of the initial trauma. In that way, anybody
It's traumatized.
anybody who wants to awaken has to be traumatized in the first place, because otherwise there is no awakening needed. It's
Yeah.
just everything. And there are few people being born never understanding why everybody else isn't in this bliss all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
because they are like they missed the contraction part. They simply forgot that.
Yeah.
They went into this body and womb spreading love, but those are known as saints. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have like 10, 20 names in the
Yeah.
last thousands of years
Yeah.
where this happened in that way. And everybody else went through contraction in order to expand again
Yeah.
as the way of remembering.
Yeah.
And I feel everybody is on this process of remembering
Mm-hmm.
oneself,
Mm-hmm.
or let's say life or spirituality or the goddess or
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or God. But trauma accelerates the process because trauma has so much impact and so much force is that it, for at least moments, makes this person explode. And so we are in a maximum of contraction during a trauma, but we are also in a maximum of expansion.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in one of my most traumatic situations that I experienced that I had a kind of bird perspective on the whole setting.
Oh.
And I had a very deep sense of calmness and peace and not like being untouchable, basically.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it was a very chaotic and escalating situation and very dangerous. But I, at the same time, had this incredible, vast consciousness, the space in me where
Wow.
everything could happen.
Wow.
And we are meant to have access to this vast, silent space of peace and consciousness all the time,
Yeah.
while at the same time being intimate with the here and now. So trauma robs us from the aspect of intimacy. Trauma robs us from the aspect of movement with the energy in the here and now. But it opens up the eternity aspect.
Yeah.
And this is a resource. So people do not tend to want to re-experience their trauma because they are so sick,
Mm-hmm.
but also because they are longing for the peace and eternity that was opened up there for them in the first place or for the first time.
Yeah.
So you see, it's like when we talk about trauma or we talk about cancer, we are kind of talking about two different things. And at the same time, in both cases, I want to emphasize that it might be more healthy suffering from cancer and healing it than not having cancer in the first place.
Yeah.
It might be more of a chance, more
Mm-hmm.
of an initiation, more of a complement of life, suffering from trauma
Yeah.
than not having ever experienced any trauma.
I
I'm
love.
very, very much against us standing up, running around, trying to heal every symptom without ever touching as a culture what healing truly means and what it would demand from us as a culture. At the moment, we try to heal people while we want to stay sick, very sick, very, very sick on a collective level. And
Yeah.
it can't work together.
Yeah.
So I'm way more when I do not have cancer and you have cancer. Let me do everything I can in order to assist you in your own healing journey. Yes. But at the same time, that's 10%. 90% is you are my teacher. I'm listening because you have access to the symptom of the collective disbalance and I haven't. So let me learn from your sensitivity. Let me learn from your health because I'm still wrapped in this collective trance.
Yeah.
I'm very much coming from that. Like, take pride in your wounding, take pride in your disease, take pride in your trauma. This is where we have access to a catapult into a more real world where love, aliveness, peace are available in an unconditional way.
Wow. Yes. Amazing. What you said there really resonate when you said that you were in this trauma and you could kind of see yourself from above. Because I remember at the first night in the hospital, first day I got the chemo, and it was not like I was in a very like stressful situation. I was lying in bed. It was night, dark, but my body, yeah, got just loads of heavy metal toxins, and the physical stress was definitely there. And I also got 1,000 other medicaments to work against these toxins. And I was lying there in this hospital. It was the first night, and I remember really such an expansion in my consciousness. I really like an outer body experience, and I remember And Lucia was on the other side of town, of Munich, with the children. And I remember me just rising myself, my etheric body, and just floating to them, and like very, very, it was real. It was like, it was not even like vivid dreaming. It was me going there, lying with them in bed, whispering in their ears, hugging them, telling them everything would be okay. So yeah, I completely resonate. Sounds like very, very familiar what you
Yeah,
described.
yeah. And it's like when you describe it, there's something like it was real.
Yeah.
And it is more real than us in this moment
Hmm.
doubting this possibility. It's
Yes.
just our shrinked energy, our contracted body and energy body produces a consciousness that mainly believes in matter, that
Yeah.
maybe believes in scholar medicine and materialism, etc.,
Hmm.
which is part of reality,
Yeah.
but not the whole picture.
No.
And then us awakening to what a human consciousness contains in so many more dimensions than just matter is something that typically opens up in extreme situations and after us dying in terms of who we thought we are.
Yeah.
And you did exactly that
Yeah.
masterfully.
Yeah.
You went into, you even sacrificed your hair, for example, which might
Yeah.
have been part of your identity, because
Completely.
that's like what we are going to lose in chemotherapy,
Yeah.
right? And that's like, it's such a shift in
No.
how we look, how
Yeah.
we see ourselves, how
Yeah.
we are seen by others.
Yeah.
So there is so much of sacrificing your identity
Hmm.
that then laying in bed and like then now it's for real. I'm getting chemo. The last thing that I ever expected that I would need
Yeah.
is the thing that now is here to save my life.
Yeah.
In this moment, consciousness is like, thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Because you are Yoni with
Yeah.
beautiful long hair and you're not. Of course, you are not. You're both at the same time. Thank you for allowing me to breathe between polarities. Thank you for opening me up between the extremes, between two poles that are seemingly contradictions. That is how we are offering our whole energy system to
Hmm.
being so opened by life that life itself, consciousness itself, starts flowing through us fully again. And that is when we find ourselves in peace and
Mm.
in fluidity and in love
Yeah.
in a very real way. And like as you say, like we have these experiences completely out of the blue or not out of the blue, but we know for sure this is more real than our so-called reality. It's we know that. We simply know it.
Yeah.
It's buried under this culture. It's belittled, it's criticized, we laugh about it, we neglect it, we ignore it, we deny it. And still, the moment that we break through all those layers of denial and experience it, we know this is home.
Yeah.
This is me.
Mm.
Everything else was just a bad dream.
Yeah.
We
Amazing.
fantasized.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually amazing because even science already for almost 100 years can describe the other side, can describe consciousness. That you gave it the name quantum physics, but that's basically physics that describe consciousness, the observer, the active observer. But even after 100 years of discoveries, most of the scientists you talk to them, they are materialistic in their approach, which is it's naturally, yeah, we are this body and we live in this physical world, so it's naturally for us to go there. But yeah, it's amazing me every time I think about it. That's
Mm.
the proof is there, kind of, even the
Yeah, but
scientific proof.
it's interesting. Can we stay with that for a moment, or do you
Yeah.
want to move on? Because I'm
No,
very
no,
oh
let's go
yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Because mm, I think when I listen to you, we
Hmm.
could have the impression like, let's talk with the scientists one more and
Hmm.
tell them what quantum physics
Yeah.
knows.
Hmm.
I think there is something else more needed
Hmm.
in order to shift the scientific climate and the level of scientific maturity and intelligence, because that's eventually what we are talking about here right now.
Yeah.
And that is we would need the bodies of the scientists being more refined and receptive and sensitive and embodied.
Yeah.
There is something you can't bypass: the maturation of the individual. You can't tell them that quantum physics can prove consciousness, or can prove that the world is basically consciousness,
Yeah.
or basically vibration coming from point zero or anything. You can't force wisdom of that level into a human being if the nervous system, the energy system
Yeah.
of the human being is not broken open enough.
Yeah.
And typically, those scientists who
Yeah.
are cutting edge in their careers, who are the ones who get the book contracts, who get the university jobs, they are there because they managed a way through their life without the deep trauma.
Yeah.
They haven't been busy with cancer in their family for 20 years.
Yeah.
They spent those 20 years for their career. Otherwise, they wouldn't be the ones that we are listening to.
Yeah.
So we are kind of prepping for our scientific output and research. And these are the minds that are not only doing the research, but they are also the ones who consider certain questions being worth being examined.
Yeah.
So it's like we are kind of educating a scientific elite that is seemingly intelligent, and at the same time, when it comes to true aliveness, exceptionally stupid, exceptionally immature. Those professors, those PhDs, etc., are, yes, our intellectual avant-garde and the most stupid part of society on other levels, which are relevant when it comes to containing what consciousness is. As long as science is basically, for example, busy with what is right and what is wrong, science is off anyway. Because right and wrong is a symptom of human consciousness being not fully opened up. That's in itself proof that we are dealing with life on a superficial level, on a stupid level. To some extent, everything that we consider as scientifically interesting is therefore also always a waste of time. It doesn't have to be that way. But it is, as long as we are feeding science from those minds that we are in this moment positioning in the positions of research, university, career, etc. So there is something like you do not get around the messiness, the personal transformation, the being broken open, the chaos, the fear, the humanness. If this is what a human being brings to science, then boom, then we have the saint in the university. Then we have the institutions and spirituality. And I hope we are getting there. And I hope also we are getting there in terms of medicine. But a human being has to be brought to his or her knees. This is our status. This is where we belong when it comes to life.
Wow.
We have to surrender in an unconditional way. And if we do that, from there the world opens up again. And if we refuse doing that, we are lost anyway. We are simply lost. And that's also why always in old ancient traditions of spirituality and awakening, it was always known, if you can have a woman as a guru, take the woman, because you learn from her capacity for surrender so much faster than from a man. But if there is no female guru around, take a man. He can do the job as well, but he has to work more. Because his refusing, his mistrust against surrender can be so much deeper. It's like men have to work more for the same remembrance in terms of awakening than a woman.
Amazing. Yeah, you talked about it, to be on the knees, and it's fun. It's like in being in a state of awe or reverence towards life. And there was something as growing up in Israel, we have the Orthodox Jew, and they call themselves, which I could never really understand, but now, of course, I understand it much better. They call themselves the one that are afraid.
Oh,
Chared. Yeah, Chared is the one that I'm afraid, or
yeah.
the one that is afraid from from sky, basically. So although, of course, the Jewish Orthodoxy is, for me, far away from spirituality the way I understand it, but the core, of course, of all religions comes
Mhm.
from the same place. Yeah. So this kind of stuck with them, which I
Yeah.
find, yeah, very suitable. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like there is consciousness
Mm-hmm.
as the thing or the frequency
Mm-hmm.
that we can describe as divine or
Mm-hmm.
eternal or truth or
Mm-hmm.
peace or unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And then this consciousness sinks down layer by layer into manifestation, into
Yeah.
form.
Yeah.
And then it forms the human being. And in order to create the story of, oh, I'm Ilan and I'm this body and I'm this person and
Yeah.
they should see this and they shouldn't see that. In order to create that, it has to contract. And the contraction happens as the frequency of fear. And
Mm.
then I'm calling myself, I'm the one who is afraid and I'm right.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm just consciousness contracting myself in a
Mm-hmm.
playful way
Yeah.
and playing that I'm the one that is afraid.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, of course, I'm not. I'm just consciousness playing
And
that I'm
yeah.
afraid. And
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. It's like taking serious, I am wounded.
Yeah.
And at the same time saying, and I am referring with all of that to the source of it all, claiming that I am primarily the source. That's not what's said in the term that you gave into this conversation, but it is the frequency in the background. So
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that very much because I feel
Yeah.
like your spirituality, my spirituality, the spirituality you talked about,
Yeah.
we are meeting here
In the
and
middle.
we are
Yeah.
seeing translating back and forth,
Yeah.
knowing it's just words
Yeah.
and knowing the thing in the background is us basically in this moment on our knees
Yeah.
in awe and trying to to touch with words
Yeah.
something that is shimmering at the horizon.
Nice. Very nice. Ilan, you mentioned also before about the scientists that they are in a way immature in the capacity of the nervous system to withhold a larger spectrum of life. And from knowing you, I would say that is more or less what your work is all about, training the nervous system for a bigger capacity of life. How did you come to develop this? Or first of all,
Two things.
tell me if this is a good
Hmm.
the way I
Yeah.
described it, and then yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I came across the term, I didn't make it up, came across the term of radical aliveness, and I feel that's kind of what you are saying. And
Hmm.
I agree, as long as we want to define my
I
work or
think
this
yeah.
topic of work,
Hmm.
body of work, I think that's quite fitting. Um, Two things. First of all, I suffered from many different types of traumas in my past, and maybe I'm still suffering from that.
Hmm.
And from all those therapeutic modalities that I tried, everything physical, everything working with embodiment and
Hmm.
reclaiming my body
Hmm.
worked.
Okay.
And everything that was just mental and
Hmm.
talking about it and understanding and analyzing it didn't work. So
Okay.
that's one thing.
That's your
One
own.
thing
Yeah.
is the body is the portal.
Yeah.
The body is the answer because the body knows the path and
Hmm.
is willing to step onto the path.
Hmm.
The mind might be scared and like, oh my God, I will transform it. I will leave my family. I will do whatever. The body is like, give me the right circumstances, give me enough safety, and I'm doing the job. I will carry you through this trauma back into embodiment and safety and self regulation.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
Hmm.
And then I was very confident, okay, if we work with the body, if we work with the whole body shaking that a healthy nervous system shows after stress,
Yeah.
and since human beings are typically stressed in this era, let's shake.
Yeah.
I was very confident we can meet life. And then the other part of my, I don't know, my setup is I kind of, life didn't allow me to bypass where I struggle. It didn't allow me to cope for decades. I had to face what made me struggle. I had to face that. So I was, while the whole therapeutic scene was basically about, okay, try to relax and go to your resources. And if you feel lonely, call a friend. And if somebody calls you whatever, stupid or selfish or a bitch, go to your best friend and ask her or ask him if you are not truly lovable. And to me, it didn't work. To me, it was full force being in full contact with what is. There is a shitstorm. There is a shitstorm. There is somebody hating you. There is you being helpless, being alone, hating yourself. Go fully into that. So I had by some, I don't know, it's a weird design in how I operate with reality. I have no idea why, but it's like I I could never figure out how to truly help myself, how to truly alleviate my suffering by using resources or becoming calmer. I didn't figure that out. The only thing where I felt like that truly brings things into balance, where I am staying with the truth instead of lying to myself, is being in full contact with whatever is. And that is what I then automatically had to translate to working with other people in my work, because I can't offer them tools that are not working for myself. And like up to this point, there is an interesting parallel between our cancer stories, because I didn't have cancer, but I can share something where I'm in touch with cancer in this moment.
Okay.
In my family, there are many, many, many cases of breast cancer.
Okay.
That many that the German health insurance system offers me, as a daughter of this family system, to have a genetic test. It's a test that Angelina Jolie made famous because she has this genetic predisposition. And I decided a few weeks ago that I will do this test. So I gave them the blood, and then a few weeks ago I gave them the signature as well. And now I'm waiting for the test results. Like, our conversation is happening while they are doing the test, and I'm waiting for the test results. I think the chances are 50-50 that I have this genetic predisposition if the test is positive. The first thing they would do is removing my breasts, my ovaries, and my womb, because all those organs could get cancer in the future. And I was like, you can have my blood, you can have my genes, but you definitely will not remove my breast. Like, it's crazy sitting there with everything that a human being is capable of, and at least some awareness around human potential. And then being offered, like, we could basically take your organs out because they could. It's incredible, this materialism. And the thing that I want to share here is, whenever I tell the story to somebody, the basic reaction is, Ilan, you live that healthy and you are so alive, you won't get cancer. And to me, I mean, honestly, I don't want to get cancer. But that's not the fucking point.
No.
I don't want to be calmed down. I don't need you or me to tell me that I don't have to be afraid. Know what, Yoni? I'm alive. I have a right to be afraid. I want to taste fear, because that's why I'm here in a human body. And some women will die of breast cancer. Why not me? Because I don't want to die of breast cancer? Because I didn't hate or poisoned myself actively? That's what's true for most women who die from breast cancer. Like, nobody planned that. Nobody thought, oh, it will be me. It always hits people without any kind of explanation out of the blue. Why not me? To some extent, I don't want to be special. We are at risk for dying anyway in unplanned circumstances. It's very interesting. Like, I am doing this test for genetic predisposition because I do not want to repeat the story of my family, where every other woman says, we know about the risk, but we prefer not to know. And I'm like, That's
You prefer to
exactly the
know.
thing that I want to break. I
Yeah.
want to know.
No.
This is the medicine. It's
Yeah.
having the truth.
Yeah.
It's not, oh my God, I will die. And it's not, oh, I will not die. I don't want to be calmed down.
Yeah.
I don't want people to tell that there is no reason to be afraid.
Yeah.
There are reasons to be afraid. In this
Yeah.
moment, while we are talking, children are abused. There are
Yeah.
reasons to be afraid,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Everybody who isn't afraid is just shut down.
Yeah.
So it's you see, it's like, how do I study radical aliveness in my work with humans and in my work with myself? Is exactly by that. Don't take the pressure away. Don't take the challenge away. Don't take the charge away. Don't take the problem away. I
Don't try to
want
make it
to
nicer.
vibrate.
Yeah. 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 Wow.
So it's like, yeah, does it answer your question? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Completely.
it's
So
the only way. I find the resource in the truth in the center of the trauma. That's the only resource that never let me down. And that is why with everybody and every destiny, I never go around. I never go around. It's like, let's eat your trauma and your childhood for breakfast, but we
yes.
won't
Wow.
bypass what's true.
Yeah. So to understand, you want to make the test because there is a chance that it's that you have this genetic or these genes, and then this fear becomes real, and you want to get touch from this fear because this fear is life themselves. It's like, did I
Yes.
get it right?
Yes, there is another layer for me that is relevant,
Okay.
and that's kind of around that. And that is almost like, yes, you learned it through cancer, but it wasn't cancer teaching you. It was what cancer did to you, and that was the space.
Yeah.
Honestly, if every woman in my family knows about the risk and says, I want to do this gene test, I might not do it, because the women in my family would be so upfront with their fear and their, okay, I face it, that
Yeah.
I would be like, yeah, maybe, I don't know, I don't want to be, I don't want my breasts to be removed anyway. That's
Yeah.
not
So
an
why
option
to
for me.
do it
Like,
then?
what do they offer me? So then I know it, and I like, maybe I wouldn't do it. But
Yeah.
for me, coming from this background of, shh, let's not talk about,
Talk about.
let's not hope for it, let's not talk about it, maybe, yeah, we just hope that la la la. It's, I'm like, can we
Breaking the
can
silence.
we be real?
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
be on point? Can we be
Wow.
precise? Can we stop
Yeah.
bypassing? And it is me breaking the tradition of bypassing, which
Mm.
has in the first place, or in essence, nothing to do with cancer. It just has to do with tiptoeing around the truth. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to tiptoe around the truth. That's the fucking point.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
from there,
Wow.
what do I have to do in order to break with this tradition in my family?
Yeah.
I have to take this test. And then on top of that, yes, I'm super, like, for many years, I navigated with my health completely outside of the health system,
Yeah.
because my parents work in the classical health system and clinics. I grew up there, and I was like, this makes me so sick, being
Yeah.
treated primarily as matter, as
Yeah.
flesh,
Yeah.
especially as a woman,
Yeah.
especially. They
Yeah.
are hot on, like, basically, like, doing surgery on women on
Let's
pretty much everything
remove.
that could
Yeah.
ever have any symptom. Let's remove it
Crazy.
in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was so sick from that. Like, I
Yeah.
felt the violation
Yeah.
of life so physically that I had to avoid it. And then I was like, I want to go into the very center of the belief system that genes are everything and that we are victims to our genes. I want to go into the very center. I want to sit in front of one of those humans,
Yeah.
and I want to expose my own internal situation and vulnerability in the setting, because I want to learn to stay with myself, while at the same time there is a young woman sitting in front of me, smiling into my face, saying, we could remove your ovaries and your womb right now. And it's like,
Right now, before.
thanks for offering, but
Yeah.
no.
Oh my
And you
God.
see, like, it's
Okay.
basically, it's a training camp.
Yeah.
Before that,
Yeah.
I stayed safe with my kind of truth because I was protective. And I'm like, I don't want this protective layer anymore.
Yeah.
I want to be spiritual in the biggest clinics in Berlin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, as you say, if it
It all
doesn't work there, it doesn't work anywhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's to me also, like, that's also a bridge to, because you brought into the conversation my work. It's like I work in live events or retreats from Wednesday to Saturday to Sunday. And what's always on our mind in those 5 days is this seminar has to pay off from Monday on. It has to work in terms of ecstasy and aliveness from Monday on.
Monday on.
This is just the foreplay. This is cheap.
Yeah.
This is a super artificial setting,
Yeah.
hyper privileged, super expensive. This is easy. But from Monday on,
This
like
is it.
eyes
Like
on the street.
yoga starts when you step off the mattress.
Exactly. So that's how I basically tasted both options. Do I do the test? Do I prefer to know, or do I prefer to not know?
Yeah.
And my instincts for truth were like, you want to know.
Yeah.
You want to know.
Yeah.
Not in order to believe that genes are the dictators of your life or destiny or whatever, but also not to be naive.
To stop
Like
the pipe.
to
I think what you said, that's actually the medicine, because also from my experience, I was also completely healthy, in a very, like in the peak of my life in a way, physically, mentally, everything. And after getting the diagnosis, so I started to research myself, and I saw all this bypassing that I had, all these walls that I built without knowing, and that was a big part of the disease. So I think by removing the bypassing, you're giving the medicine already.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's removing the bypassing, and the system falls back into balance.
Yeah.
And the process from the old disbalance that you didn't perceive as a disbalance to the true alignment, the true balance, this is the process that people are so afraid of. That's the turmoil in between. That's the chaos. And I want to repeat that again. This is where we have to love and to celebrate people. We have to celebrate people who are in the chaos. We have to compliment them. We have to cheer them on, because this is healthy. On the collective level, we are crying for a collective shift of consciousness. This comes with a huge wave of collective chaos, and we fail celebrating, complimenting, cheering people on who are in this chaos phase individually. If we fail on that level, we won't make it to a collective change, period. We need to want the disturbance.
Yeah.
We need to want the chaos, the unplanned circumstances, the sudden symptoms. We need to want that. So it's very, taking pride in our symptoms. It's so essential. Never ever feel ashamed for anything that you are struggling with. It's way more problematic if you're not struggling with anything in a world that is suffocated to the very end.
Amazing. Wow. I want to ask you something, maybe a bit more. For me, I have a very technical way of looking at things, and we mentioned this word a few times before, and it's surrender. So I want to ask, like, how does it really work? Like, if you surrender, because that's something I'm asking myself all the time. If you surrender, then and you accept everything that life offers you at the moment, is it even okay to want something else? Where do you put a boundary to life, and how do you see this balance?
Let's say you surrender fully, and somebody attacks you. You surrender to your fight instinct. If somebody wants to kidnap your child, you better surrender to your fight instinct and protect your child. So we don't, like, you see, your question comes from putting some expectation around the form it takes onto surrender. But let's say a woman is in an abusive relationship and gets beaten up by her husband. Her surrendering to the situation means to go.
Yeah.
So surrender means taking action where your body wants to take action, and means softening where your body wants to soften. And this is not something that you can predict with your mind, and it's not something that you can figure out in your mind. So basically, I could say surrender is an unteachable lesson, because we talk about surrender, but all that we can do from talking about surrender is collapsing more. And collapse is the opposite of surrender. Collapse is dissociation. Collapse is disembodiment. So it's like you say like Ilan surrender, and I'm like, okay, more of this. It's like,
No.
no, that is your problem in life in the first place, Ilan.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
let's try again. That's very, very important. Surrender, or in other words, you can say you are surrendered in this moment to everything in this situation. And I can tell myself the same. But that's true for the nutshell of consciousness
Yeah.
on the ocean of the unconscious.
Yeah.
The ocean of the unconscious is still on so many levels in resistance to this very moment. We have simply no access and no clue about that.
Yeah.
How are we broken open? Step by life, or by the assistance of trauma, by the assistance of disease, by the assistance of something that comes into our awareness as suffering. So you see, it's very, very like, yes, there are other ways for surrender. For example, orgasm or ecstasy or bliss as an overwhelming surrender, maybe in dance. But people tend to learn more when it's not pleasurable.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it wasn't my idea, but it's like if we surrender through bliss or dance or orgasm, we tend to be lazy in terms of what's needed from us to be learned here. If we are broken open to surrender by suffering, we tend to be way better and more attentive as a student. So that is, I think, why life is more effective by teaching us through suffering and pain. So your question was basically like, how do I do that in terms of surrender?
Yeah.
Um,
And I want
first,
maybe to add on it, because
yeah,
I completely understand your point with if you have an abusive relationship and so on. As I was hoping, since I don't have this background, I'm thinking about my situations. I don't want to escape my relationship, but let's say I want to deepen my relationship, and I don't manage, to do it. And so, do I stop trying because I get the signs from life, dude, it's not for you. Maybe you're not supposed to be together. You know?
I hear you asking about which tools or techniques. How do I accelerate the process of deepening surrender to life, right?
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely talk about tools and technique, definitely. But just the concept, like, where do you put, where does surrender stop, and where do you start? Like, where is your heart wish and saying, I don't care, I want this anyway, so I won't stop trying. I won't surrender in a way. And where do you need to say, okay, this is life telling me, drop it.
Yeah. Um, I feel we can talk about the small surrender or the big surrender. And the big
Okay.
surrender is the more, it's what's worth the whole thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this is what we were talking about. Let's
yeah,
not just heal a little bit of headache. Let's
yeah,
crack the code of life by
yeah.
healing cancer in the like this kind of
Yeah, yeah,
let's do it
this,
for real and the
yeah.
whole job.
Mhm.
Then surrender is listening to life from a very attentive and humble point of view. And the humbleness, the patience is very, very crucial here.
Mhm.
So let's say you are in a relationship and you want to deepen it.
Yeah.
And you, after a while, get like, I don't manage to deepen it. And maybe this relationship is not for me. Maybe the time of this relationship is over. And that is why, and life wants to tell me this.
Mhm.
This is when your process with the big surrender
Mhm.
starts.
Mhm.
This is not about you figuring out how to deepen your relationship. This is not even about you and your relationship.
Mhm.
This is about you being naked in front of God.
Mhm.
And what you can do, and that is where I jump in with some techniques,
Mhm.
praying every morning. I
Mhm.
will do everything I can in order to deepen my relationship. And I ask you, life, to be in response. Let me know if this is for me, if this is for her, if this is for us,
Us.
or if this is over. I'm open to anything. I'm scared of everything, and I will do my very. So it's like you put this issue with your relationship nakedly in front of God, and not as something that you have to figure out with a self-help book and some coaching tips from YouTube.
Yeah.
And then you get up, and then you start the day by 3 minutes, 5 minutes of shaking. You can have your favorite music on, simply shaking your whole body and anticipating one situation of this upcoming day in front of you that might be challenging or triggering for you. In other words, a situation where you might be tempted to float through by getting around it, where you have no deep relationship to.
Yeah.
It's you and the dentist, and it's like, oh wow, no, I'm happy when this is
Better
over.
not.
Yes, like do whatever you need, but I'm
Yeah.
not here. I'm disembodied.
Yeah.
This is what you are putting in between you and intimacy or a deep relationship with a very given moment.
Yeah.
This is how you are actively hindering every day your relationship to be as deep as it could be. It's not between you and your wife or girlfriend or whomever. This is about you in front of life.
Yeah.
And when you are stopping blocking the depth of relationship that's possible to this very moment, from that on, everything else will transform. Not necessarily in the way that the relationship that you went for in the first place gets deeper and deeper, but for sure, definitely, life will let you know more than clearly that this relationship is for you or isn't for you anymore, because you stopped being a bad listener. You stopped being bad in intimacy in the first place. So you see, if you experience stuckness or life not responding to you, it comes down to you not wanting to know. Period. And I'm not saying that from any superior standpoint. Quite the opposite. I spent decades without any voice responding to anything in me. Everything in me was just suffering, just screaming, just burning. I did everything I could, and there was no God. There was no mercy. There was no love. There was nothing. And that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Keeping going while there is this amount of doubt.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we do not reclaim the spirit of this world in a world that is seemingly designed without spirit in the first place, if we do not reclaim it, we won't recover. It's almost like I demand God to come back into this world so much that I am the one creating God if that's needed.
Yeah.
I'm the one calling God back into existence if that's needed. I won't stop. This amount of unstoppability is what people find when they have nothing to lose and no other way to go. And that is, I think, how people remember what a human being is capable of. Or not capable of in terms of achievement, but what a human being is, what simply the design of existence is that is flowing through this human vessel.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So
Amazing.
surrender has a lot to do with showing up, with discipline, with action. It's not at all something that we can see in terms of the form. It's not something about relaxation. It is relaxation, but the relaxation comes on top. We can't wait for it. We can't tell us a story, oh, we are so exhausted, we need to relax. That's collapse. That's giving up. That's victimhood. That's not the thing. It's like, it's a very precise protocol. Hand yourself over to existence. Pray to whomever you want to call her. God, Goddess, Jesus, Spirit, money too, I don't care. Prana, whatever. Hand yourself over. Take yourself serious. Go into shaking. Confront wherever you stop being fully intimate with any given moment. Start from there. And every relationship will become deeper because your relationship with truth becomes deeper.
Deeper. And that's
And life will be very, very generous
mm,
in letting you know where to go and how to
okay.
live.
Amazing. Wow. That is a complete blueprint, basically, Chris
Mm.
Render just gave.
Mm.
Amazing. I forgot to ask you, I don't know how much time do you have?
Oh, I have a quarter, 15 more minutes easily. I'm
15
not in a
moments.
rush.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah,
Perfect.
I'm all good.
So I thought there's a few questions. Um, when we were in contact, when I had the cancer, um, you gave me a sequence to do that actually, through this sequence, I managed to literally break my identity and make the decision to go to chemo. I don't know if I told you this ever, but first of all, the sequence was a rage sequence to take a towel and to hit an object, the bed or chair or something for like about 2-3 minutes. And I was doing this for a while, for a few days, weeks. Plus, I was doing my own protocol of meditations and practices and so on. And in one point, I went to the mountains, to the German Alps, to be a few days alone for myself. Um, I didn't plan to go and make a decision back then. I just had the opportunity to go, so I did it, and it was in winter in the snow. And I remember at that time I was doing meditation, Joe Dispenza meditation, every day, 1 hour sitting meditating. Um, and as I was doing my meditation in the evening, like every day in the last 3 months, um, suddenly came this anger that was not there before.
Mhm.
And it came so strong that I had to stop the meditation, something I didn't do before. And I just catch the first towel I saw and I started to hammer the bed, killing it,
Yeah, yeah,
killing my identity in the end, and screaming, and really like animalistic way of being,
yeah,
just
bravo.
pure energy being expressed.
Mhm.
And I know it sounds like dramatic, but it was basically like this. I was then falling down to my knees, sweating, and saying to God, I want a sign right now. What am I going to do?
Mhm.
And yeah, and the sign came. It's like 2-3 hours later, a very clear sign. I got suddenly pain where I had a tumor, which I didn't have for a few months. And then I knew it. And I said, okay. And then I called the hospital, and 2 days after I started the chemo.
Yeah.
Um, so I want your light on the process, like how, why did it work? Why this hitting the bed a few days before suddenly brought me to this kind of catharsis, like if you can say, and
Mhm.
in general, why is this type of exercise is beneficial?
Mhm. First of all, I would say it wasn't suddenly.
Mm,
It seems to be sudden. It
yeah,
seems to be out of the blue, there's a breakthrough. But
yeah,
everything for months, you have
was
been in
building.
such a complex protocol.
Yeah,
Every minute of meditation counts.
yeah,
Every ice bath,
yeah, yeah.
every conscious breath, everything builds up to that. It just breaks um, through the through the layer and then
Mm,
is in our consciousness and our
yeah.
awareness. And that's like then we are saying it's sudden, but it isn't.
Mm,
And so it's not solely coming from this practice.
mm-hmm,
But I'm a huge fan of unleashing suppressed anger
mm-hmm,
because, in the first place, like simply basically, cancer treatment on many levels is strengthening the nervous system and
mm,
immune system and the willpower for life. And all of that is regulated by anger. Like
mm,
if a person is shut down in terms of anger, there is basically no stomping. I exist. I exist without any justification, without any explanation. I don't have to deserve that. It's my birthright to
Yeah.
vibrate in this very moment. This is my space.
Yeah.
And if you violate my space, you will lose the fight.
Yeah.
You will lose. You will go. This is my territory.
Wow.
This is what we need in terms of emotional frequency that we call anger. And we need this biological frequency for a healthy immune system. And a healthy immune system doesn't break down and let's take cancer cells over. So that's the whole thing, how I saw there might be a relationship. And you did a great job with unleashing this suppressed anger from so many generations,
Yeah,
so
definitely.
many layers. And by that, then suddenly being so equipped and filled with life force that wants to live in this body, that then it was like, okay, like in a bottleneck, like pressed through a bottleneck and then exploding. And this explosion is us having clarity. It's us doing the phone call. It's us seeing the path. But it's like a symptom of this held back anger in the first place, pushing something to the limit, to the brim, and then making it explode. And something is almost like detoxified from our system, from our energy system. And I refer to our energy system as part of our body. It's our subtle body. It's not visible. However, it's a part of our body. So if I could make those layers around your body visible, it would be layer, layer, layer. And there was something like a big blockage of something dark, like suppressed anger. You shouldn't allow the anger. You would kill somebody or something. And then it was like something underneath, like pumping, like anger, every practice more. And then like
Building up.
and then it's like, oh my God, I want to live.
Yeah.
They have a chemotherapy for that. Like what's the thing? I will do that. And then it works. That's
Amazing.
and I yes, then it works because we talk amongst us with somebody who healed cancer. Honestly, I would go as far as saying it works anyway, even if one would die from cancer.
But would be more
Because
alive.
if dying is a failure or simply the most beautiful outcome of a process that was worth it anyway, is a state of mind, of consciousness. I don't see us failing when we are dying from cancer. I feel like healing is available for us in an unconditional way, and we are allowed to leave this body behind, and we are allowed to find healing in our suffering, in the very center of our trauma. It is available in an unconditional way. It's not, we don't have to perform. We don't have to heal and be vital again after that. We are here in this privileged situation that you survived. But if it would be still unclear if you survive, I would still say that you are healing, Yoni. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Because you found back your truth. You found back your, like, you awakened. So what's the point? The rest is
This is the main
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, and death is a topic I saw also on your channel, your YouTube channel. You have a few videos about it, and something that I personally also study a lot, and I had myself, I would say, 4 to 5 near-death experience, where then really surrendering came into play in the most alive way you can think of. And I want to hear you talking about death as the ultimate fear, basically, because from what I understood from you, wherever there is fear and you don't want to go, that's actually where you need to make a U-turn, and that's life calling you to find life themselves. This is like the most vibrant experience that you have. So what about this, the ultimate fear that everybody basically deals with? Are you afraid of dying?
Yes, if my life in a physical way would be in danger in this moment, I would be afraid, definitely. I would respond with fear. Um, and to the other parts of your question, when you were asking me in the very beginning, like what's basically your teaching thread, like what taught you in life, Ilan?
Yeah.
I was torn between, do I tell the story from the terminology of trauma or from the terminology of death? Because for me, it's interchangeable.
Yeah.
I have a very, very, very intimate relationship with death. It's present with me every time. Death is the most present thing in my awareness. In not every given moment, but it's like
It's there.
yeah, it's absolutely there. And if it wouldn't be there, all the rest would be, I don't know, I would work in a different way, I would breathe
Yeah.
in a different way, I would function in a different way. Everything in my physical existence is incredibly close to death. Everything is so, I can't take anything for granted. Everything is fragile, everything is mortal, everything is wounded and vulnerable. And I'm so, so, so aware of that. So, but for me, like, what is death? I don't want to go into this ambition, I need to define it, but we talked about the refinement in our awareness until we can experience more layers of consciousness or dimensions in any given moment instead of being just reduced to matter. When I find myself after shaking, after dancing, after breathing, after whatever, or in those states, when I find myself in the most refined states that I can access at the moment, where my consciousness is stretched or opened or expanded to the current maximum that I'm capable of, then life and death is not, oh, I'm alive and I might be dead when I'm 90 years old, but then I am in a state of absolute openness and oneness, plus, like with a super close, precise, high level solution microscope, I zoom, zoom, zoom into the very moment when from this absolute consciousness, the very first movement into existence might happen in the very first moment. And that is where I feel the human pattern, my human pattern, comes up of, let me know, let me grab this moment, let me control it, let me have a skin around it, let me know the form, let me give a word to it. Everything creates death.
Wow.
That's the moment of death, because that is when I cut myself off from this ever expanding explosion of simply creation celebrating itself out of joy and out of love for itself, out of a state of awe and wonder. So this big death when I'm 90 years old is just what I have created in countless small moments over time.
Yeah.
And that is why death is a projection into the future coming from the current stages in my consciousness, which can't stay as open as life stays open. It's like I'm leaving the path of life, so to speak. Like life is just vibrating. It's just this bubbling ocean of everything shimmers, everything plays, everything is all over the place and peaceful and silent at the same time. And then there is me like, no, guys, we need a story, we need a script, we need a plan, we need a career, we need an identity. And that is me creating death. That is why I'm dying. I'm not dying because I'm dying. I'm dying because I chose to die. And in order to get rid of my fear of dying, I have to go through that because I'm the one throwing myself into this prison. Nobody did that for me. And there is no one outside handing me over the key. I did it, so
Yeah.
I have to undo it. And I know exactly how to do it because I did it in the first place. I have to track, what did I do in the first place? How did I get here? And that is remembering.
Mm.
Remembering, what did I put
Inside.
into my way in order to be blurry, in order to be confused, in order to be stressed out, in order to be a victim. I did that to myself. And that's the most fascinating part for me when it comes to recovery from trauma or from cancer. There is a place in our consciousness where the whole story, and I would even, like in your case, it's like cancer from inside. In my case, I also have shock trauma where other people traumatized me from outside. So I could talk, and I should talk about this trauma as there is a perpetrator and there's a victim, and the victim is me. That's an important layer of truth of any trauma, period.
Yeah.
And in my trauma, I'm just talking about my trauma, and people might test if that might be true for them as well sometimes. In my trauma, I can go all the way back to me being consciousness, and then I chose this. I was this perpetrator at the same time. I wanted that. I am the one inventing this whole story.
Yeah.
I wanted to experience it and to connect it to the story that I then suffered from. I wanted to have this experience. And that is then also why, like, then I'm sitting there in the clinics in Berlin and they say, yes, you have this genetic predisposition. I'm like, let me my fear. I have a birthright to be afraid. I wanted that. There is something unconditional in us that is just like, I want this human experience. I want that. I want it all. I want everything. So it's a very fascinating, like there is an inexplicable peace with everything, how it has been, which is truly inexplicable. The moment you touch it with your mind, it doesn't make sense. And you should never push anybody into any peace, because people survive horrific things these days.
Yeah.
And still, I wish that everybody has the inner openness and the outer resources in order to find that much time for silence and inner absorption, that there is a place in their consciousness where they feel everything got destroyed and nothing got destroyed at the same time.
Yeah. So what I hear from you basically is taking responsibility on oneself radically, like for your own experience.
I would say, honestly, you are coming from Israel, I'm coming from Germany. In Germany, the word responsibility has something like you are obligated to take responsibility, and I want to be very, very cautious. Honestly, when people are surviving trauma, I want them to survive. I want them to heal. I want them to be happy. I want them to be safe. I don't want to sit here in a flat in Germany, having enough food, having a warm house, and saying, yes, take full responsibility for your experience. I don't want to be the one. It's like, for me, at least coming from Germany, that feels too harsh. It feels like a moral thing. And I'm like, yeah, me on the street shivering with cold, I would be in a better position saying that, but not here. I'm too privileged. I don't want that. So I could say, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I experience in myself a fluidity or a willingness of my consciousness to remember that everything comes from the same source and plays with different dramas and plays even with different traumas for the sake of fun, of experiencing human experience. I don't know why, but God seems to enjoy this game.
In a very kinky way.
So what I am saying is, when I experience that, I do not experience that I'm special, and I'm for sure not special. I experience that this is just something that is also hidden in any human being. And I know when these layers open up of consciousness, then any human being is more peaceful with how things have been, is more regulated, is more grateful, is more full of self-love. So it's not everybody should take full responsibility, self-responsibility, but I pray for a world where everybody has enough time and warmth and food in order to be
start
able to
to,
afford sitting down, breathing into your heart, and allowing the world to fall silent, and allowing yourself that much safety and refinement that you are about to remember how the thing started in the
mm,
first place. In the
wow,
first place, not with your parents, but in an eternal vibration, in an ocean of frequencies,
mm,
of consciousness, how things started from spirituality. And it's condensed, distilled spiritual energy that we are now describing or experiencing as matter. But that's not why the world is made of matter. It's just that matter is a part of this distillation that we are talking about. So it's more a wish, it's more a prayer.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
something, it's not a teaching. Like,
okay,
please survive.
yeah,
Please don't blame yourself. Please be happy. Please
yeah,
feel freedom.
yeah, yeah, because you actually answered the question, my follow-up question before I asked it. Um, so I would just say it because I saw a few, I don't know, days or weeks ago, spiritual teachers speaking and talking about taking responsibility on radically on oneself. And he says, yeah, even women that went through rape and even hungry children in Africa, they all chose it on a certain level. Yeah, and that is like it's like,
It's like, I mean, if you are in the middle of a rape and you are saying, "Yo, yes,
thank you.
I'm consciousness, I'm choosing that,"
Yeah.
that's another story. But it's like really, I mean, for example, we talked about you have experienced situations with military. I have to learn from you. I never
Mm,
had to go through those brutal settings.
yeah,
So who am I? I'm having an Instagram account
yeah,
and now I'm pushing out some sentences that sound smart to me because I'm that dissociated from how life out there is happening.
mm,
I mean, if my child starved in my arms and I had the impression my child wants to starve, plus I wanted to experience that, that's another story.
yeah.
There is, I think there's a very famous Instagram post of a woman, a mother in one of the first, I feel like one of the first soldiers, 16-year-old boy,
Mm,
being hit by a bomb, being killed.
mm,
And she went public with, she just
good story.
received,
Yeah,
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 that her son was killed. And she said, "In my name, you won't start a war. You
mm,
don't have my permission. I don't want revenge. I d- this is a
this
woman
is,
that I'm listening to
yeah,
because she's there right now.
yeah,
If she speaks from truth, I'm the one listening.
yeah,
But as long as I'm sitting here hyper privileged in a
yeah,
country where not even war is present, my
yeah,
children are not starving, I have to better shut up. So it's really like spirit, as long as spirituality or spiritual processes come on a way that sounds good
mm-hmm,
or is good looking,
mm-hmm,
it's false.
mm. So
Period.
it's only half of the picture.
Yeah. As long as you have time for your yoga poses, your matcha latte,
Yeah,
your speech about radical self responsibility, you didn't even touch the dimension of this challenge.
yeah, yeah,
Be awake day and night at the hospital when your 3-year-old daughter gets chemo
yeah,
and you pray for her life.
yeah. And then
Survive that.
continue. Yeah,
And then say again, like,
and
and
then
like
speak from
it's,
there.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's really, I think, I hope we are about to experience a spiritual scene that is way more mature
mm,
and shuts up with a better timing.
mm. Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Ilan, I
Mm.
think I would love to talk to you for days.
Ah, we can cut the days into pieces and
Yeah, yeah,
celebrating several podcasts. It's
yeah. I think
such
it
a
won't be the
joy
last
speaking
one.
with you, and
Yeah, with you as
I'm
well.
so grateful for you inviting me into this conversation and
Yeah,
sharing your wisdom.
yeah, me too. I'm deeply touched from the way you described reality and your experience, and it's have such a refined way to describe it. I think
Mm,
it's really helpful for many people.
mm, mm. Sending you a big hug.
Thank you very much.